How are you?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You and I met at the Lighthouse International Film Festival. It's a wonderful festival.
No, I mean, I was mentioning this to you before, but like honestly, that festival set the bar so high. It was.
You should go next year. You should go next year just to come.
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely! I would love to come again. It's just so wonderful, and they like treat their filmmakers so amazingly. Like, I mean, for folks who don't know about the festival, like basically they. Everything's free for filmmakers, essentially. They give you like this little tote bag and it has flip-flops and all these fun things. But the best part about it...
Wait a minute, you got flip-flops?
Yeah, I got flip-flops. I mean,
damn
come
it.
on. That was amazing. Sunscreen, a swag bag, but...
My swag bag did not have flip-flops.
But and the films were really good and people were super nice and there was all the free food and the beach and great parties and it was really wonderful. It was such a great weekend. I had a wonderful time.
You'll find that actually quite a few festivals do, in fact, do the same thing. Although I will say that in this festival, what's so nice is that Charlotte opens her house.
Right.
And it's right on the beach. It's so nice. Whereas most festivals are not in that kind of setting. But there will be like a filmmaker lounge or something. So you can, and it might have like catering all the time. So I go to some festivals like the Maryland Film Festival. You should go.
I heard of it. I've never been, though.
I go every year now because I have family in Baltimore. Plus, it's just a well-programmed festival.
That's great. At Charlotte's house, I mean, I think she had like 3 hot tubs or something.
So, but I was there judging shorts. I got the opportunity to see your short, which you directed and wrote, called Rejectors. But more to the point, the reason why that I was seeking you out was because your cinematographer is a buddy of mine.
Yeah, Rick Rowley, he's awesome. He did it. It was really fun working with him. I had worked with him on a docu-series. He's does a lot of documentaries. He did Dirty Wars and a number of other films. And so we worked on that. And when I was telling him about the concept for Rejectors, I originally wrote a feature version of it. And we just like got coffee to catch up like a year ago. And I told him about it and he thought the concept was really interesting. And so I sent him the feature script and he was just basically like, I would love to help you. Like, I'll shoot a short version of it. And I was like, okay, that sounds amazing. Because Rick's cinematography is like really, really, really good, obviously. And so that's kind of how it came together, honestly. I wasn't planning to do a short at first, but then kind of different opportunities like that presented themselves. And I just was like, no, this would be good to kind of work on some narrative work, which is more new to me. And so it was really, really fun doing it.
Tell me how this idea came to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it came from like 2 ways. I had like been, I work in documentary a lot, and I've been, I read a lot of news and I'm staying up very much on like current events. And I just was like noticing this kind of interesting currents of various violence being used for good, I guess, like sort of fighting against, things that we would all obviously consider bad, like racism and fascism and sexism and all of these things. And so I just kind of thought the idea of like how violence can be used to kind of end violence. And then I kind of had this realization that these groups were folks that are kind of doing this kind of thing. They're kind of identify often as anti-racist action groups. They basically were very active in the music scene that I grew up with in Massachusetts. I used to go to like a lot of punk shows and hardcore shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so when I made that connection, I started having calls with like these kids that I grew up with and kind of like, and other folks from anti-racist action groups and reading stuff online and kind of crafting a narrative based on those conversations and, these real life events. I mean, it's obviously super relevant to now, of course, but I just wanted it to feel really kind of authentic and kind of just use my background in documentary to like almost report it out in a way because I was talking to all these different people and researching, but just using obviously like the narrative form to tell this story.
I know when you're referring to these groups that are using, well, I don't know if they're confrontational, like Antifa. Is that what you mean?
Well, I think they're probably now, because of Charlottesville and stuff, are like one of the most known groups. I wouldn't want to say that these groups are specifically about them because I think it's a number of groups like this across the
right. Oh yeah, for sure. But I was just thinking like about the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this, and I was very, like, I'm always like, I'm just very, very, very sensitive around the subject of these groups and everything. So that's probably why also Skin had such an impact. I just referred to Guy Native's film, who was also at the festival. It was interesting that right after seeing your short, I'm seeing Gavin's feature. Actually, I saw it first, to be honest, because I saw it at the Montclair Film Festival. But these two subjects are dealing with hate groups, which is such a big topic right now. So it's a very timely film, and I don't know if you made it in a way trying to be a voice in that among the other voices, because it is such a big topic right now.
Yeah, when I made it, when I wrote it honestly because I thought having like my perspective on it could be kind of interesting, and it was something that was on my mind at the time, but I didn't even know about Skin. I had seen it and I don't know, and I saw it and I was like, whoa, like
Skin, the short,
yeah,
that was really something. I didn't see it either until I got back here after the festival.
Yeah, and it like hits you, like
jeez,
it's like really, really intense. And so
it is.
After I saw it, I was like, whoa, like this is really interesting, because obviously I think, people are thinking about this or talking about it, it's in the news, it's in all this kind of thing. And, I do think like my inclination, just again, having this documentary background, and my interest in like pursuing more narrative work is like taking real things and, putting a narrative spin on it, just because I like the kind of that medium, and I think you can do a lot with it.
I agree.
But yeah, so I had no idea about it. And obviously I saw the feature, the opening night at Lighthouse, and I thought it was excellent. And yeah, and so, I think that there's a space right now specifically for political filmmaking, and filmmaking about real stories that is really exciting to me, because some of my favorite films that are kind of more political films. But I mean, I'd like to do other things as well. But I feel like right now, because of the current climate, I feel like it's really important to kind of put these things out there and start conversations, to kind of have some sort of impact. So I really appreciated his film, and I hope it does well.
And hope that some people who aren't really thinking about, like, that aren't really thoughtful, like, we need those people to vote. I mean, and to get on board. There are lots of people who aren't really thinking about or taking a stand around, what's going on right now. So, and those are those undecided neutral weirdos. I'm sorry, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we need all of them to become more cognizant and involved, and to vote and all that, so that we,
and just be engaged in thinking and discourse and having conversations.
So knowing that probably festivals is where most people will see your film, right? I mean, do you have more ambitious like ideas about or goals with that short, or was it a way to just sort of move to the next step, which is, maybe a feature?
I've written a few feature film scripts.
Okay.
One placed in like the Nichols Fellowship. I don't know if you heard of that. And so
I don't know
that kind of gave me oh, Lindsay, like maybe you can kind of do more narrative stuff. And so when I wrote Rejectors, I wrote it as a feature, and was just going to maybe try to make a really scrappy feature.
Yes.
Two things. I mean, I think one obviously is I want to use it to try to get funding for a feature version of the film, which, the script's already written. There's, whatever conversations happening. But two, for me, like I said, like it feels like a really natural progression from documentary filmmaking into the narrative world. And I say that because one, the topic is very relevant. Rick and Carissa Henderson, who was the other shooter, with Rick, like we shot it like I would shoot a doc. Like there's one scene in the short where we were like in this mosh pit, and it was just Carissa and I, the other shooters shooting it. I think Rick was like getting wines at that point, but it just felt so natural because it's the way that we shoot protests. It's the way that we shoot, things where it's really crazy, and she's just in it, and my hand's on her back, and I'm just blocking her from getting hit from different things. And like, that is really fun for us, which it sounds kind of the producers on the short were like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But yeah, so in many ways it feels like a really comfortable stepping stone for me to like move more into narrative by like trying to build on what I already know and then just kind of move on from there. So yeah, so I think it's those two things, hoping to sort of use it for feature funding and then also just as like a work sample, like, hey, like, yeah, I made this documentary about this thing, but I also can do this, and I'm trying to do this. So
right, festivals like Lighthouse, they play a lot of shorts, and they know that it's a great way of creating a community of filmmakers that are kind of at the start of their careers potentially, because most people making shorts, unlike Guy,
right,
that's not a good example because he's making features and shorts. The people that are working with him don't understand why he's continuing to make shorts, but he likes making shorts, and it's a way for him to maybe process what he's doing and to figure out how to make a feature. I don't know, but
well, I mean, it's a bit of a sketch in a way. I mean, obviously, it's complete in its own thing, and it's its own, like it's its own film. But at the same time, it is like a nice, less high pressure way to like explore some ideas, maybe try some things, maybe, I don't know. It's, I mean, obviously if you have the time and the resources to do it, it seems like it's a safer way to kind of practice some stuff and before you kind of dive all in.
Yeah. But it is perfect for the festivals if you're trying to, if that's something that's satisfying, which I think it is. I myself am about to make my first short.
I know. That's really exciting. I read the script. It's fun.
Thank you. I got a really great cast, and I think with the right team, it'll do what I'm trying to achieve, It'll be kind of goofy, but that's what I'm...
For sure. It's so much is...
Yeah. I have of course, and every step of it, the editing, the shooting, the get the right DP and everybody. I'm just looking because I wanted to, I wanted to elevate, I wanted to all, and I want to find the humanity even beneath the craziness of these characters. Anyway, so you mentioned that your short, Rejectors, is going to be at this festival in Mexico. And I know you have Rejectors in a festival that's coming up in the fall, which you told me, off mic. Any other festivals? Are you continuing to submit it? Or are you close?
Yeah, I'm mostly just waiting back to hear from, say a couple, like a dozen or two more. I'm kind of waiting for about a dozen. I mean, I just started kind of really submitting a couple months ago. We'll see where else it gets in. Like as you mentioned, it will be in a festival this fall, but still waiting to hear back. It's so we'll see.
Very good.
Yeah.
And where did you grow up? You said you grew up in...
Yeah, I grew up in Western Massachusetts.
Like Holyoke?
Yeah, Holyoke.
See, now you're impressed.
I know. Well, how do you know about Holyoke? Volleyball Hall of Fame?
No, I had a lot of friends in Massachusetts, and I lived in Boston for a while, but I just had a lot of friends who went to Hampshire and Holyoke and UMass. I'm a worldly kind of guy.
Yeah, no, I grew up outside of Springfield, and I lived in Springfield for a while. Yeah, it's super nice up there, and like I love going back. Not so much to the Springfield area, but like when I go back, I went to school in Amherst as well, and so every time I go back, there's just like great places to eat up there, and like I still have a couple friends that live over there, so it's like
sure.
It was a nice place for like if you grew up in Western Massachusetts and like were interested in things that were kind of creative, like that was like the only place you could go to, which was like Hampton, and be weird and like let your freak flag fly, whereas like other places would be like, what's wrong with you? So it's true. Maybe
Were you a student still when you did that, or were you...
Waited. I was like the only person at the time that was like shooting like HD. I feel like there's something about the area that like, and I mean maybe it's changed now, but like I graduated in 2011, and like we had just it was just like, I think we still were using like mini DV tapes in college, and like I felt like, and then I had switched to like DSLR, and so like for that area it was like bigger set up in that way, and so I had gotten connected to them. I can't remember because it's been a few years, obviously, but yeah, they were just looking. It was like very archival heavy, but yeah, it was good times.
I'm always telling people just to, young filmmakers, and, I don't know what my advice is worth, but I'm always saying just surround yourself with the best possible people, and, try to be serious about your work, and be, dependable and reliable, show up and be prepared and all those things. But also just when you find really good people to, and I think you have that. I think you figured that out, it seems like, because of your relationship with Rick and how you, obviously you try to connect with Guy during the Lighthouse. That I noticed. And I think that's a terrific way to go about creating a really, a career. It's a difficult career. It's a challenging career.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And I think, like, it's about the people that you're making things with, and the genuine connections that you have with people. I think, like, and those come out of like having similar interests and like things that you want to say, right. And like, what that's you right. like, and like what you think is valuable and important. And so, when you meet people who are like, Rick, we had worked on this docuseries together, and like, I wanted to work on his series, like, because of what it was about, and so it's like genuinely wanting to do that, and genuinely wanting to make connections with people, and just like make stuff. And like also like the process can be so long, like documentary or narrative, and it's like you want to kind of like be around people that you genuinely like working with and really respect. So I feel like you don't know how things are going to turn out or how they're going to be received, but you can kind of like at least enjoy the way to get there, I guess.
Good. Be in the moment, enjoy it, and get the most out of everything. That's a great way to I think that's the greatest way to approach your work and the process.
Yeah, I try to remind myself that when I'm like, oh, what,
Of course. Well, yeah.
How am I going to do this? Like, I'm trying to pitch this thing, or like do this thing, or like, oh, where's this shooting location going to be? Or what, what does this person think about this thing? But like, at the end of the day, like, just as an example, the Rejectors shoot, like, we had the best time. It was so fun, and everybody, like, a lot of people became like friends after, and like a bunch of folks came out to Lighthouse to see the film, which was really cool. And we had like a great time, and so it's like I said, it's obviously it's about the work, but when you can also have people that you enjoy working with, it just makes it so much better.
I have no doubt. Well, Eve Van Dyke is the director of this new short that I saw and I caught up with called The Rejectors, which she directed and wrote, and which is shot by Rick Rowley, a friend of the podcast. We're going to keep in touch with you, and as soon as this film is available or going to screen it at other festivals or in other circumstances, you'll let us know so I can help promote it so people can go see it.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely.
Thank you.
Cool, well, thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Same here. Thank you.